Shalom, 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 shalom. This is Naaman with the Great Millstone Camp here in DC, back for another video. First and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, Hashem Rakah Kodash. And of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. I'd like to send out salutations to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways also. All right, across the whole earth, as a matter of fact, because we have camps in many other countries. All right, and also aided by the many lessons that we upload, all right, that are there for the edification, of course, first, for those that are the hopeful elect of our people. That's the sole purpose of our being out there, per Ezekiel's 2nd and 3rd chapters, all right? That's a commandment. That's what we do. It's just this time to bring, as the scripture says, bring our people back into the commonwealth, that is, and back into the fold. All right. We realize also that 2/3 of our people just are not going to receive it. All right. That's a huge number. All right. Let's go ahead and get the copyright disclaimer. This is copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right, fair use, fair use, fair use. All right, so what we have today, I meant to do this a little while back. I tag things and so many in a day that I'm just like that, but sometimes I tend to forget. But we're going to redress that now. So here it is. I just thought this was very interesting. This is, of course, Clinton and his deposition. And man, this is like the one thing, this is how you do not want to act during any kind of proceeding. All right. Letting you know this guy and a lot more like him. This is your former president. All right. All this is coming out now. This guy is like, he's being turned on, like going down memory lane, and the lawyer is like taking shit from you just got to see this. Let me quit talking. I know it's a Jake Law. Look at it. Look at this.
Okay. Mr. President, we have about 5 minutes remaining in the majority's first hour, so I just want to ask you some questions related to the crimes committed by Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell.
God, look at that. Like I said, this is going to be short. Going into these scriptures, I mean, my goodness, man, he could hardly contain himself. Let me see here. Let's start out with it, because it's quite a few scriptures I had here, but this is what we're warned not to do. Let's go to Romans 6 and 12, not to get away from these that's just lust. All right, it says Romans 6 and 12, let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that ye should obey it in the lust thereof. All right, neither yield, verse 13, neither yield ye your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto the Most High as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto the Most High. See, that's the thing. This is for the Israelites and Israelites only, not for the heathen. All right, because as the scriptures say, they're not, I'm paraphrasing, their thoughts are not on the Most High anyway. All right, you got a lot of Jake that are like that. That's the 2/3 club. All right, let's get another one. This is, wow. Let's go to Matthew. Whoops. All right. Scroll on down. This is Matthew. It goes into lust, right? Matthew 5:27. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. All right. Anything that's going to cause you or obstruct you being in this truth and maintaining, keep that eye on the straight path. All right, you got to do away with it. Cast it off. And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. And it starts, of course, with repentance. And the only people, of course, who can repent is the Israelites. All right. Who were the laws given to? It's so simple. The Israelites, nobody else. This is a lineage thing. This is a certain people thing. It always has been. But these Christians from this vile philosophy that we've been dealing with for the last half a millennium now, all right, saying that any and everybody can come in as long as you are a spiritual. You can be a spiritual Israelite, being a Christian. No, it never was that. Lies. Nothing but lies. All right. So let's get something else here. Let's see. Let's go to Galatians. I mean, this guy, like I said, he could have hardly contained himself. I mean, he was, let's see, 16. It says, This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. And after all, this is a continual battle between the Spirit and the flesh. There's so many scriptures on that. Verse 17, For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. Did not Paul say that again in Romans? Let's get that real quick. All right, Romans 7th chapter, and it says what? Released from the law. And when we go down here, the law and sin. All right. Verse 7, it says, What shall we say then? Is the law sin? The Most High forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law, for I had not known lust, except the law had said, Thou shalt not covet. And how do we covet? Mostly through our eyes. All right, especially as guys. Come on. 8, but sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manner of concupiscence. Let's look that word up. All right. Strong's G 1939. Epithumia, a longing for what is forbidden. Concupiscence, desire, lust. And these people are doing it over children, no less. All right. These sick motherfuckers. All right. It says, verse 8, but sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manner of concupiscence, for without the law, sin was dead. All right, let's get another one. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon. Let's see. All right, let's go 9 and 15. It says, for the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind that museth upon many things. What did you think he was musing upon? All right, like I said, he was going down memory lane. All right. Sick motherfucker. All right, let's continue on. All right. Let's go 1 Thessalonians 4 and 3. All right. For this is the will of the Most High, even your sanctification, that ye should abstain from fornication. All right. That every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor. Not, verse 5, not in the lust of concupiscence. We just got the definition of that word, all right? That's that lust, that vile lust, all right? Even as the Gentiles which know not the Most High. There you go. That's it's not a lot more to expound on with that. All right, let's go to another one. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians. All right. Wait a minute. All right, let's see. Stand firm. It says, but we are bound to give thanks always to the Most High for you, brethren beloved of the Most High, because the Most High hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth. All right. Let's see. Let's go to 2 Timothy. All right. All right. It says, let's start up a little bit. Talking about, all right, start at 20. Because you got a lot of Jake stuck on, these physical things. Like it's talking about here, gold and silver, material things. All right. And was it at first? Let me see. Let me go here first and I'll come back to here. Let's see. And it tells you, let's see. All right. What does it say here? 1 Timothy 6:9. But they that will be rich, and you know that Jake is consumed with that. Americans in general, but I mean, come on now, you know who we were, to fall in that through the music industry that encourages Jake to, with all the videos with the fancy cars and the jewelry, that's been put out there in front of Jake even before rap. But, with the, I'm thinking of the blaxploitation movies and all that, it was aiming at Jake, the Superflies and all that shit. He says, but they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare and into many foolish and hurtful lusts. And the reason I bring that up is because, before the so-called civil rights era, what a lot of people don't know, during the early 60s, and this goes to show you how much Jake is hated by these Edomites, especially here in America. What had happened was that all the while, they were thinking about how, the ways, especially with J. Edgar Hoover's bitch ass. But what had happened was, during the civil rights era, they had deemed Jake uncontrollable, not able to be ruled over, just because Jake was asking for, what they deemed civil rights, human rights, all right? Not to be lynched and every other thing that was being done to us. So they said, you know what, and this is documented, what these devil did, and this was even after Kennedy was assassinated, and it really picked up after LBJ got in office. So what they did, they sent a whole lot of money over to Africa and brought a lot of Africans over here on cruise ships in suits and everything. And what they were trying to do, I guess what they thought they were going to do, was trying to supplant Jake, who was already over here, with them. Again, this is documented to show you this hate. So they've been looking for many ways to get rid of Jake, because you got to know that debt that is owed is so great, and they despise us so much because we survived and we thrived. All right, and everything they do, we bounce back, and that's you got to think about that. The things that you do to a people, or a person on an individual level, and nothing you do seems to keep them down, hey, you got to worry. Like, what the hell is going on? I mean, you'll use other choice words, but it's got to scare you. And this tends to, what we always say, and we know that they know who we truly are. All right, the ones, and it's dawned on, I'm not going to say the elite, but it's quite a few underneath them. All right, even to Joe Sixpack, who have figured out, hey, those people over there, they don't fit the but they know. The thing is, they never wanted our people to know. That was the big thing, Psalms 83rd chapter. All right, it says, but they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lust, which drown men in destruction and perdition. Going back to this a little history lesson I was giving you there. All right. And afterwards, they, especially toward the end of the 60s, the Vietnam War, Jake came back. So, Nixon, with the startup of what we would come to be known as the Drug Enforcement Administration, started up, and then the war on drugs, which was really a war on Jake. All right. And no matter how we tried to, again, build something for ourselves, at every step, we were sabotaged. All right. So again, which drowned men in destruction and perdition. So what do you think? More jails, legislation, petty shit to get Jake in the system. Again, the war on drugs. And then what happened under Reagan with the crack era and all this shit, bringing drugs into the neighborhoods, bringing weapons into Jake's, it's all kinds of this. I hate this place. Verse 10, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. And that's why the scriptures here it says about, just worry about, what can sustain you, for the most part, I'm paraphrasing, from day to day, not get caught up in all this bullshit here, because trust me, they got something for you. When Clinton, incidentally, we're talking about here, during his first term, when the 3 strikes laws and all that shit, which happened to be Biden was behind that crime bill. Think about that. The penalty for crack was much more severe than powder coke. Now, who was into crack and who was into powder coke? There you go. But did Jake think about that when they helped vote that bastard in? No. Because Jake is all the motherfucker has to do with Jake is know how to do a little dance and talk a certain way, play a little saxophone or whatever have you. And I mean, shit's gone on for way too long. It's embarrassing. And you wonder why we're, another reason why we're in the position where we're in, because we got some simple people amongst us. Let's go, sorry for my little rant, but let's go to Colossians 3 and 5. It says, again, mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, here we go, that word again, and covetousness, which is idolatry. All right, for which things sake the wrath of the Most High cometh on the children of disobedience. All right, in the which ye also walked sometime when ye lived in them. But now ye are also put off all these, anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. All right, and it tells you, these are, you're supposed to focus on the things, all right, which are good. And those things which are good have to be, all right, concerning Yahweh Shai. All right. Your former president here, especially when I get this one. All right. It says Job's final appeal. It says, I made it, and you know what it's, I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? All right, and we want to know what that maid is. All right, for those of you that don't know, it says a virgin from her privacy, sometimes by continuation a bride, also figuratively a city or state made a virgin. All right. It says, for what portion of God is there from above, and what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Is not destruction to the wicked, and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity? All right. Again, I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? All right. So we know he certainly didn't do that. All right. Yeah, let's get another one. Let's go to Proverbs. All right, let's see. 6 and 27. There's warnings here because there's things that, again, happen as the last, all right, alluded to. And here we go. It says, can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Isn't that what we tell children? Don't play with fire. Don't get involved in those things that can hurt you, or worse, or in situations you get hemmed up. And that's what they're trying to do with these people. There's this whole thing. You really think anything serious is going to be done to these people? This is that club, that exclusive club that George Carlin, the comedian, the late comedian, was talking about. All right. All this shit that's been doing for show, just to give the appearance that they're interested in doing anything to these people for what they've done. All right. These are the ungodly that it says in Psalm 73. Hold on. All right. It tells you, it says, for I was envious, and you got a lot of people. Hey, and then you can see it now. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Now, you know what would happen to Jake. Come on now, we know the history with Jake. They even looked at a certain woman the wrong way. What happened? That's the history of America. All right? Let alone do some shit like this. All right? It says 6, therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, and it surely does. They really think they're above the law, and as a consequence, it says violence covereth them as a garment. They're the things that you're reading coming out from these files that are being released, and we know that your current commander-in-chief, all right, is they say his name is in there. What is it? Is it a million? A whole lot. I just put it that way. I can't remember the exact number, but it's a lot. Because initially they said it was 38,000, but then they came back and said, oh no, it pales in comparison, that number of 38,000 to how many times he's in there. I want to say a million, but I'm not quite sure. Think about that. All right. Therefore, again, pride compasseth them about as a chain, because these are the people that they consider themselves untouchable. And by society standards, is there any reason why they shouldn't think so? All right. It says their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. These people that these files are pointing to are billionaires, a lot of them. They're also your entertainers. Oh man. He says they are corrupt and speak wickedly. Well, let me finish 7 first. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. 8, they are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. Listen to all these people talking about the victims. All right? The victims. There's no regard for them. All the focus is on the people that did this shit. The sympathy, I'll say, for the people that did this shit, that did the crime, that committed these horrible acts. All right? They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. Therefore his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. And they say, How doth the Most High know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? All right. Behold, these are the ungodly, who prosper in the world, they increase in riches. And that's all you have to say. These are the people. All right. Look at this. One's going to turn. It's only 38 seconds. Look at that. In fact, look at that. Reliving that. Give me that. Give me like a little kid. Give me. Licking his finger. Oh my goodness. She got, nope. Over here.
Okay.
Oh no, you can't. No.
Mr. President, we have about 5 minutes remaining in the majority's first hour, so I just want to ask you some questions related to the crimes committed by...
What it appears to be, anyway, I just got to say that. Allegedly. I guess I should have led with that. Come on now. Wow. All right, so with that, I hope anybody who views this video has been edified. All right, like I say, these are some sick people. To even be associated with people such as, Epstein. All right, he was convicted. All right, I think it was back in the early 2000s. All right, so again, I like to encourage whoever has viewed this to remain circumspect. All right, keep your eyes and ears open, especially in light of current events. All right, just be careful who you're around. Seriously. So with that, until the next video, hey, shalom.